This is the Mobile Tech Podcast, brought to you by worldpodcasts.com. Now here's your host, Tech Girl, Miriam Joie.
Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Joie, and today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026, and my guest is the excellent Ben Schoen. Hi, Ben. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. So, hey, there's not much going on this week, but there's a few things like some leaks, some rumors, and I do have a new Razer phone here that's kind of interesting that I want to unbox for the audience. And then, you played with the app builder thing from nothing, Essential Apps. And, there's a lot of vibe coding talk out there and a lot of people experimenting, which I think is great. As an ex-developer, I want to encourage people to code and try new things, right? But at the same time, it's like a lot of this stuff seems not very well baked, especially the stuff that's easily accessible to people, right? If you're a professional developer, you're using one of the AI tools today, it's pretty solid, but you need to know what you're doing and you need to know how to start, I think. I mean, it's the bar of entry is very low compared to like when you had to make a career out of being a developer. But, that's kind of why I want to hear your thoughts on that. All right, let's get started on some news. First of all, Galaxy Unpacked is happening on February 25. It's official. As I wrote in my notes, gird your loins, folks. What are your thoughts on what's coming up with Samsung?
I mean, it was going to be an exciting year, but not anymore. It looks like a pretty standard Samsung launch. I'm looking forward to being out there at least, though, and checking everything out.
Oh, good. I'll see you. That's great.
Some minor improvements to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that, we know some of the things, like right now it looks like that privacy screen is going to be the big deal. And I think that's actually a pretty cool feature. I discussed it when Shannon was on the show recently because, she's focused on security and privacy. We did a whole kind of episode on how you can, bulletproof your home with your network and stuff. And she was like, how can you not be excited? I mean, I am. I think this is a valid tech, but I feel like it's not exciting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's exciting, I think, in the sense that it's going to help people by protecting them. But I don't think it's like you and I phone nerd exciting. Like
it's going to be a feature that a lot of people are going to like, but it's hard to get excited about it just because, like, for you as the person using the phone, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's really doing something for everyone else looking at your phone.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, the other thing is, I don't know, like software AI, of course, that's going to improve. It feels like Samsung's just really cruising along yet again, more than ever. No changes on the cameras. Obviously, they did publish some videos on improved low light, improved zooming, which can be done with AI. All of that I'm welcoming, obviously. But I'm just like, come on, I want something more exciting, So I also hope they're not going to remove features like last year with the Bluetooth on the stylus, that ruffled a lot of feathers. I'm not a S Pen user, but I feel like for those who are, this is the kind of thing you don't want to cut corners on. Like, Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to reviewing these phones. And I'm not saying this because they're not going to be good. I think a lot of people are going to need to upgrade from like an S22 or something and I'll be very happy. It's just more like, when I see the kind of Chinese phones I get to play with, and even some of the stuff Apple's working on, I'm just like, come on.
It's kind of going to feel like last year. Like, it's an objectively good phone. I really liked the S25 Ultra, but it was also like super boring.
Yeah. I did find myself using it less this year, though. This is the thing. Like, usually I dedicate the S20 whatever Ultra phone to my like car photography when I go on a car trip for work, because the lens flexibility gives me, I feel like it handles things like colors a little better. I mean, I don't like the color science that Samsung has, but for cars, I think it works pretty well. Like it makes colors pop a little more. Yeah. So I think that it's always been my go-to, but in this past year, I seem to be going back to my Pixel 10 Pro XL and phones like the Oppo Find X9 Pro that I have, or, like I did, when I first drove the Blazer, the Chevy Blazer EV, the sport model, I was in North Carolina and I shot everything with the Oppo Find X8 Ultra, and it was so good. I was like, oh my god, this just walks all over my Galaxy S Ultra, and I was just like, maybe I'm not going to use it as much. So I'm kind of wanting a bit of an infusion, maybe next time, of slight improvements in hardware on the camera front, simply because I feel like, we're going to talk about some rumors, but everybody seems to be, at least Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, all those companies seem to be heading towards a dual 200 megapixel setup now, main 200 megapixel,
Yeah.
telephoto 200 megapixel. Of course, 50 megapixel ultra wide is, table stakes at this point in that environment. And I'm just like, I'm not sure that vexing to me 3x 10 megapixel telephoto tweener that they have is worthy, like
No,
I feel
agree.
like it's the same telephoto that, in my opinion, ruins the camera system on the Z Fold 7. Like, compared to the competition, it's the camera that they could have added to the Edge, but wasn't even necessary, because when you compare the Edge to the Z Fold 7 on telephoto, like 10x photo on both, even though one doesn't actually have a telephoto and the other does, the results are like at a reasonable like zoom, like 10x, the results are the same. So you're like, okay, so the 200 megapixel does, the main sensor does all the heavy lifting. I don't know. It's just weird, Like I just, oh my God, I want more. I want more from Samsung. I'm looking out the window right now, and this is for my audience who is watching me on video, because my Patreon has a video version. If I'm looking to the side, I'm facing the ocean right now in Vancouver, Canada, and there is a Coast Guard hovercraft coming in. Did you know how rarely you see that? Like, I've taken photos of it in the past, and on the video right here, I'll try to insert a photo of it so that you guys can see it. But it's like, Canadians, why do they have a hovercraft for the Coast Guard? I mean, I guess my taxes pay for that. It's okay. I'm happy to see a hovercraft show up in front of my apartment building every now and then. Anyway, sorry for the distraction. It's not the kind of thing, as a transportation nerd, it's not the kind of thing that I want to just kind of ignore. So anyway, yeah, so Samsung's coming up with some stuff. We also have a bunch of leaks on the specs for wireless charging. So it looks like we're going to hit Qi 2 specs for wireless charging, but not the magnets, correct?
Yeah, I found some listings from the Wireless Power Consortium, which is the organization that handles the Qi spec. And it looks like, I think they're placeholders, but the listings show Qi 2.2.1 for Samsung's new phones, which is the same spec used by the Pixel 10 Pro XL and the new iPhones. So Qi 2 25 watt. But they're listed without magnets.
So what do you think? Let's talk about this, because I feel like there's a cultural shift here, cultural divide that's preventing us in the West to get our MagSafe Pixel Snap magnets on our phones, right? Like, we all agree, I feel, those of us, like our community of Western North America and Europe-based journalists and creators, that we love the magnets on our phones. Like, if Apple did one thing right when they brought in wireless charging, like seriously brought it in with the iPhone 12 series, it's by adding MagSafe. And so it's taken It's 5 years now since MagSafe came out. And it's like, it's taken that long for Pixel to adopt it. And there, as you wrote, there's another story you wrote. I don't want to get into it because I'm not a big stats person, but 1% of the market, maybe, Pixel has reached now. It's pretty great. Good for them. I'm a Pixel user as my main phone. I love my Pixel, but like, why is it that the only ones right now, other than the HMD, whatever it was, phone, doing MagSafe or magnets or Pixel Snap?
Yeah.
And Samsung still has it. I mean, Samsung, I think if they adopted it, it would become a thing. I think the Chinese might follow.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were supposed to. The original leaks, I don't know if you remember going back, a few months, the original S25 series leaks, like, clearly showed cutouts for MagSafe. Like, it showed cutouts for the Qi 2 magnets in the phones. It was clear as day it was going to happen. And then back in November, we had the reports of Samsung saw the iPhone 17 pricing and how it didn't change. And basically just threw out the playbook and started from scratch. And it seems like Qi 2 just died when they did that.
And I think,
is awful.
And that's also what we were talking about before, that there's such a minor evolution again. And
Yeah.
another rumor we've seen is variable aperture. Now, this would be for the next generation of phones,
Hmm.
but it's possible, I mean, that they were planning to add that feature this year. Or maybe reconfigure the cameras, at least on the S25 Ultra. 26 Ultra. I don't mind the S25 and Plus or whatever, the larger model, to stay kind of stagnant. It's like the iPhone 17, right? Like, although frankly, the iPhone 17 is one of the best iPhones Apple's ever made, in my opinion. It's the biggest jump they've ever done, like adding 120 hertz. The base storage is higher. What else does it have? It has a 48 megapixel ultra wide now. Like all that stuff that they added, and the square camera for the selfies, all of that for the same price. Amazing, right? But in terms of design, it's very evolutionary. And I think that the average person can be totally fine with the normal S series phones being very evolutionary. But I think that they need to push the envelope on the Ultra. And I was hoping that we'd see some camera stuff. So do you think this variable aperture rumor holds any truth? Do you think that they're going to do it?
I mean, if there's a rumor that Apple's going to do a thing, then yeah, there's a good chance Samsung's going to do it.
That is true. It feels to me like they're just basically, why isn't Samsung doing what they used to when they created the Note, when they created the Galaxy camera, like them coming out with the ideas and then having the rest follow? They did it with the folding phones, right? That's the last big thing we've seen from them. I feel that since then, they've just been kind of like very reactionary. But then they're not reacting about things that matter, like MagSafe or Pixel Snap. And it's just, I don't understand that strategy. And I understand that in Asia, I mean, this is somebody who's listening here, because my audience is international, please confirm in the comments, because I'm curious. Like, I want to actually talk to Ben Sin about this at some point, because China doesn't seem to care. For a long time, China didn't care about wireless charging at all. But then and when they did it, there was like high speed wireless charging, right? Like they just jumped right into it. And I get that. But, very few of the ecosystem outside of the phones have wireless charging pads that are compatible, and every company kind of has their own thing. Like, so in cars in the West, it made sense to add regular Qi to a car, but regular Qi kind of sucks, especially in a car, because your phone's moving all over the place and just doesn't charge. So everybody, at least in the West, right, is using MagSafe on their cars. They have little magnet things. You don't really see that in Asia. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they exist and they use cases, everybody. But then you see a Xiaomi car that has the 50 or whatever 80-watt wireless charging that's proprietary to Xiaomi, right? And you're like, okay, well, why? How is that going to help everyone else? Like, and I mean, the integration, the vertical integration ecosystem makes sense if you're going to buy everything from Xiaomi, but like buying a car is very different than buying a vacuum cleaner or an air purifier or even a phone. So I don't know. I think that there seems to be a resistance from Asia in general, including South Korea and China, to add magnets to these phones. And I don't think it's a technical limitation. I think there is partially a technical reason, because it makes reverse wireless charging more difficult. I believe it interferes with the S Pen on some phones.
It does, yeah.
There is technical challenges, but I think also there's a cost, right? You add something, it costs money. In grand scheme of manufacturing in big, large numbers, it certainly does affect your bottom line, especially in this day and age of tariffs that affect mostly the US at this point. But I still
think, on the other hand,
yes,
if they put in that cost to get the magnets built in, they also then open up a world of first-party accessories that they can sell for 4 times what they're worth.
And it's exactly what I'm thinking. It's short-term thinking. And so I'm surprised the Chinese haven't jumped in yet. The Koreans, I can see that they're very conservative, so maybe they're just waiting, but I don't know. On the other hand, Samsung is very popular in North America, so you'd think they would jump into this first.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I don't know what to think of all this. I'm just a little disappointed because I want Samsung to do better. I want Samsung to be, a little more creative like they used to be.
Yeah, I agree. It would be great to see it. But yeah, now they're just making all their decisions based on what Apple does, and sometimes it doesn't work out.
Yeah. So this variable aperture, though, if Apple's doing it and they're copying Apple, great. I'm on board. I really thought it was a good thing back in the day. But I think the sensors and the optics have evolved so much, and the computational photography since the S9, right, that had the variable aperture, that I think is going to actually make a much bigger difference today to have that tech in a phone. With the faster lenses we have and the more sensitive sensors, you in some situations, bright sunlight, you almost need an ND filter. So having
Hmm.
the ability to make the aperture smaller and let in
Yeah.
less light is going to make a difference, I think. And you know, Huawei is one of the main proponents of this tech on their phones. They've been doing it for a few years continually on their high-end, P series, whatever, Pura, and their Mate series, which is their flagship. I think that's the kind of thing that even though they're doing it because Apple's doing it, I'm like, please bring it on. So see what happens, I guess. Okay, iPhone 17e potentially coming on February 19th with a A19 chip, MagSafe finally, and the same $599 price point. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's wild that they're coming within a day of the Pixel, because Pixel 10a is the day beforehand.
Yeah,
No, it sounds good. I haven't tried a 16e, so I can't like speak to how good it was.
I
But
did.
it is nice seeing Apple have an affordable option that now has like really no major downside aside from like the camera being a little less capable.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that camera system is just like it's not the same camera set, to be clear. It's not as good of a camera system as the one on the iPhone 17 or the iPhone Air, but the main sensor. But it doesn't have sensor shift stabilization. It uses OIS,
Hmm.
standard OIS, and it's a smaller sensor too, right? It's actually the same sensor that's used on the ultra wide on the Pro models and the
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, and the now of course on the 17, which has the same 48 megapixel ultra wide. So it's a smaller sensor. Look, it's fine. It's fine. The algorithms, kind of elevated back to a manageable level. My biggest gripe with that phone, honestly, was the lack of MagSafe, which on an iPhone is just like, are you kidding me? And then the rest of
Yeah.
it, everything was fine. And a lack of ultra wide. But the lack of ultra wide is also, I feel like, an issue with the Air. Like any phone
Hmm.
today should have an ultra wide. And I think the price point, if they maintain it, especially for North America, especially for the US, where tariffs are really significant these days, is it's nice that they're keeping $599. Again, these are all rumors, right? We don't know for sure. Same with the date. The A19, of course, you're going to do that. They have the production capacity to do that. I think overall, it's going to be a good phone to have, but I feel like buying a refurb or renewed or whatever you call it on Amazon, like 17 right now might be a better deal. Like you're just getting a better phone.
Oh, yeah. I feel that's the case for so many budget phones, especially like I've been using the Galaxy A17 lately.
Oh yeah.
And oh man, if you're gonna cheap out on a phone, which of course budget restrictions, but if you're gonna have to pay less for a phone, just buy something used.
Yeah, no, I agree. But or look for a deal, right? You might be able to walk
Yeah.
into a carrier store right now, today, before the 17e is announced, and get a 17 for $599 spread
Yeah.
over whatever n amount of months. So yeah, last year that was my takeaway. I was like, why does this phone exist? I couldn't really quite understand it because I felt that it was $100 too much for what it was, and or missing an ultra wide and MagSafe. And so if they at least remedy the MagSafe, and considering inflation, have kept the price the same, who knows? Maybe they'll even bump the storage like they did on the 17. That would be cool. You
Yeah.
never know. Although memory right now, that's unlikely. Anyway, we'll find out. Look, the bottom line is keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully, I'll get a review in it like I did last year. Okay, so you spent a bit of time developing with the Nothing Essential apps
Yeah.
ecosystem. So it's a web interface, correct?
Yeah, so Nothing Essential Apps is run through the Nothing Playground, which is a web app that you can use on the phone or on a computer. It's just you got to log into an account. And the idea is just type in a prompt and it throws out an app, which is actually just a home screen widget. But yeah, it's a cool idea.
Yeah. And so what are they really apps? They look to me like they're just basically widgets on steroids.
Yeah, no, it is solely a widget. If you make a widget that shows you information, you cannot click through to then like expand it into a bigger app. One of the widgets I made was just like a feed from 9 to 5 Google. And that one, like when you click on it, it links to the website. But if you make a widget that like has the weather, you're not going to be able to open it to a bigger app and get more information. It might just
So
open to like a website.
Right. So there's no option right now in the settings to say launch this app when this button is clicked or when,
Yeah.
whatever is happening.
Yeah, and there are no settings. It's literally just tell it to do a thing.
Right.
And it does the thing.
So you prompt it. So it's AI based. You
Yeah.
prompt it and it does a thing. And then you can iterate by tweaking the prompt.
Yeah, you can refine the prompt. Like you can, if you say make a news feed for 9 to 5 Google, it'll spit out something, and then you can say make the background green or change how this
Okay.
headline looks or whatever.
And so do you just give it the URL and it goes and figures out how to get your RSS feed or something? Or
my prompt for the 9 to 5 Google one was just make a widget that shows the latest article from 9 to 5 Google with a logo on top, a headline, and a brief description.
You didn't even put the link in. You said 9 to 5 Google.
I might have put in 9to5google.com.
Wow.
Either way, like I did not give it the source for an RSS feed or anything. It found it on its own. It works on its own. It set the refresh time on its own, but I left it on and it worked.
How long did it take?
It showed the next. I can't remember the actual. I think it was like 90,000 seconds to update or something, or 9,000 seconds
to generate the app. I mean, or whatever.
It was about every. Oh yeah, no, generating it was I don't know, a couple minutes.
Okay.
It refreshed the feed every about 2 hours, I think.
Okay, cool. You set it up. You set it to do that, or did it?
Nope.
Just it just picked. Can you tell it? Like, can you refine it? Say update it every 10 minutes.
I would assume so. Okay. I didn't ask it to. But at one point I looked at the code that it spit out, because it does spit out actual code.
Okay, so you can look at the code. Can you change? Code?
I'm not sure actually. I'm kind of curious to look at that now.
Sorry, as an ex-dev, it's like my next thing is to ask.
Let's see, because I'm kind of curious now too.
It's a bummer because I don't have any nothing devices up here with me in Vancouver right now, and I'm going to be in San Francisco for Samsung, obviously. But until then, I can't try it. Damn it! Can you just experiment in the browser without a phone?
I think so, but there's no way to preview it from there.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, it does look like you can change the
interval.
Yeah, you can change the code. You can edit it yourself.
Okay, very cool. Wow. Well, this is pretty nice. Yeah,
it's a neat idea. I think it's very rough around the edges because the other idea I had that I wanted to do was so I'm in North Carolina. It does not snow here. We got 10 inches of snow.
I heard about that.
And that was after getting 3 inches the week prior. That was just pure ice that never melted. So this week it was getting warmer. Everything was melting. It's been super wet outside.
I bet.
So my idea for testing this out was I'd really love a little widget that would give me a rough idea of how dry is the ground going to be. Show me the trend of how much the temperature is affecting it, the wind's affecting it, all this stuff. And it did spit out an idea, but it's so hard to refine something complicated like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't tell you where it's pulling data from. So there's no way of verifying anything it's telling you.
You might be able to look at the code for that though. If you can copy and paste the code into an editor, and then you could search for URLs, right? You might be able to find what sources it grabbed.
But yeah, so it's so hard to verify what it is, but also just the design of it, because it was trying to stuff in more information. It looks awful on the phone because it's not. It doesn't look like what the preview looked like.
Right. So I hear that you can only do 2x2 widgets and 1x2 widgets. There's some limitations, right?
They said you can do 4x2 and 2x2.
4x2. That's it.
It defaults. Yeah, it defaults to 2x2, and I was never able to get it to do a 4x2. I tried several times on both widgets, and it would not change no matter what I said. Which was frustrating.
This is obviously very early days. What's the feedback you would give to Nothing or to another company trying to do the same thing? Because obviously there's some value there, right? Your widget.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's cool, right? I could create a Tinker whatever, all my publications, all my writings widget or something, and put it on my Nothing phone, and replace me with whoever you might be, that maybe you have a newsletter or something. So I think that's pretty cool. But what can they do better?
I would love. So this is like assuming they go all in on this, and this is
I
like
think they
their
will.
big thing, which I think they very well could if they can get it to work correctly. I would love to have like a Squarespace style editor, so that way once it's been created, I can then instead of giving it text prompts to change things, I would love to be able to like go in there and drag and drop elements that it generated to move them around. Um, Honestly, I would also just love for this to be like a not nothing exclusive. Put it in Play
Yeah.
Store, make it $5 a month. I genuinely, I if it worked well enough, I would pay that to be able to make the widgets and use them on everything.
Would you say that, would you, or maybe not say to nothing, but would you imagine a point in time, maybe a year from now, if they continue iterating and refining it? And I think Carpe is pretty serious about AI.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yes,
could
very much
happen,
so.
right? I think that, could you see a future where it will create apps for you? Like, you know, Android apps, basically, APKs that you can share with your friends kind of thing.
So Carl's whole pitch about how this essential thing is going to work is he doesn't want it to be apps. That's why it's not
Uh,
apps and why it's just home screen widgets is because it seems like he is viewing the smartphone beyond just
apps.
traditional apps.
Yep.
So I don't think we'll ever get that. But I do really like this idea of being able to just throw out a prompt and get functionality added to your phone that you want. I was talking to Will and Damien on our 95 Google podcast earlier about this,
Great
and
podcast, by the way, folks. Subscribe.
thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we were talking about this, and like Google could be the one who really gets this right.
I mean,
Something
with
like this,
Gemini, it's already in your
yeah,
phone. Like, and then it could
yeah.
become an Android wide feature.
Yeah, exactly. I
I
think
mean,
Google could do the ultimate version of what Nothing has created
and
here. I
and you
think
know,
Nothing made a very good idea, but I don't know if they have the resources to bring it to its full potential.
you could also look at apps as large full screen widgets.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying.
No, and that's honestly that's what they've done. Some of the ideas that people have thrown out there in their because you can publish these for other Nothing
Yeah,
phone
that's right.
users
That's the whole point. You build a
do.
community around it. Yeah.
And some of the examples that are out there are great. Like someone, I don't know how they did it. They must have spent a lot of extra time in the code to do this, but they built a counter widget that you can click and it counts. It counts as you would expect, but also it has like a little button so you can change the theme. Like that's
Wow.
actually pretty advanced for something like
That's very
this.
cool.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really good examples like that. I thought that was just the one that was the coolest to me.
So here's what I think Carl should do. Carl, if you're listening, I doubt you are, but if you are, maybe I'll send this to the PR team. You need to make these widgets transferable, especially the 2x2s, the smaller ones, to a smartwatch, like a CMF smartwatch. Or if you're working on a Nothing smartwatch, which strangely you don't have yet, hint, hint, maybe that would be, to me, that would be really smart. Because again, look, apps on watches, I basically don't use my smartwatches for apps. So I'm definitely like kind of contradicting myself in a way here. But I also saw, I worked at Pebble in the early days, I saw what the community can build on a tiny screen on your wrist. And to me, these widgets are screaming, run on my wrist, like little video games, little fun things, whatever you want to do. Once this gets refined, I could see widgets, that are very much like, I could see somebody recreating the glyph matrix. I could see somebody
Yes.
recreating glyph matrix as a widget. And you send that to your watch kind of thing. And then you shake your wrist, and it does the magic 8-ball thing or whatever. I mean, this is a bad example because magic 8-ball is fun, but it's not very productive. But, you could have, the feed of your liking on your watch to stare at or to glance at. I mean, I think it's cool. Any tool that democratizes coding is good in my book, as somebody who used to do it professionally. The bar of entry has always been really high and it's dropping rapidly with these AI tools. And, I hate the word vibe coding and I hate the fact that people are embellishing this as a catch-all that can do everything and anything. But the reality is when I talk to developers who are using these tools at a very, very high level to create like mission critical code, they say it saves them, a ton of work. And I believe it because here's the thing. When I was making video games 25 years ago, 20 years ago, we never started from scratch, guys. Like you started with building blocks. Most of them were open source. You checked the licenses, you made sure you could use them. And then, like I wasn't, when I did digital signal processing in video games to tweak the audio, before that was all canned and we had audio engines we could just use off the shelf, I would not code my own Fourier transform. Like, are you nuts? Like, that stuff is an algorithm that exists at a library that was already super optimized, super proven. I would just take that code, right? So you use building blocks even back then to create code. Like, not everything. Sometimes I would start quote unquote from scratch. But if you look at right now a vibe coding project, it's really a collection of open source libraries doing stuff in the background,
Yeah.
And that's what code is about. Like, and that's also why, we could have a whole podcast around copyright and intellectual property. And that's why, code works best when it's available to everyone and it's open, right? Because then, you can build on it. If you do something proprietary, yeah, sure, you can monetize it, but at the same time, people are going to have to reinvent the wheel every time. So,
yeah,
thank God for Linux. I look, I know some of you out there are going to scream at me for saying that because you're going to be like, open source started way before Linux. It's not just Linux. I know all of that. I was there, guys. I was there when Linux was created. Okay, I saw it happen in university. So, but I'm just saying Linux is a really good example of the community building something that is completely open source and is now running most of the world. Let's be fair, right? Like data centers.
Oh,
at
no,
least.
100%.
So, yeah. And, even look, Android's built on Linux, right? And that's why, it's not going to be a big stretch. Well, it's a lot of work, but it's not a big stretch to imagine a world where Chrome OS and Android merge, right? Because aluminium, as it's called. So anyway, moving on to some other stuff. Okay, speaking of nothing, we have heard a bunch of rumors that there might be an announcement at Mobile Congress with some new devices, like leaks and rumors and teasers have been happening. We now actually have a pretty solid teaser from Nothing themselves with the letter A, meaning probably the 4A and the 4A Pro, which is, following last year's 3A and 3A Pro. But now potentially colors. And that's got me excited because I don't know about you, but I'm still a huge fan of that yellow.
That was great.
In the earbuds. Those earbuds, by the way, might not have been the highest end earbuds that they made, but I think there was still today, some of the best bang for your buck you can get.
Well, yeah, especially now they're like $60.
I know. They're insane. They're the same price as their CMF buds, which I think are not as good. Close, but not as good. Dude, yeah. I mentioned this last week on the podcast too, have you ever tried the CMF headphones? They have the headphone, Nothing headphone, which are a little pricier and a little, more luxurious, better made, aluminum and all that. But I'm a bigger fan of the CMF headphone Pro, whatever.
I liked them. Yeah, I liked them.
God damn it, for $69 or whatever, $79, insane for what you get. And the battery life on them, wow. So yeah, Nothing colors. So we have, what do we have here color-wise? So this yellow, which is exciting. We have this blue, we've seen that before, right? That R2D2 blue. The pink is new, correct? Have we seen anything like that?
Yes, the pink is new. They've never done anything pink. They've done plenty of blue and plenty of yellow at this point, but never anything pink.
And of course, white and black, which is pretty standard. Interestingly, what's not here is the kind of shades of gray they've been using as well on their phones. Look, I'm not going to lie. I love what they do. I'm excited about it. Last year, I didn't spend a huge amount of time with the 3A, but I did spend quite a bit of time with the 3A Pro. And I thought for the money, it delivered. I really particularly was impressed with the camera system. But the phone that impressed me the most from Nothing last year, and I know nowadays they're separate companies, but it was a CMF by Nothing Phone 2 Pro.
Yeah.
Best bang for the buck of, at least in the West, of any phone that you can get, period. Like, even the camera system is actually pretty solid. It's missing OIS on the main sensor, but the telephoto is actually really decent. And I was just like, what? But the 3A was like that concept, but taken to the mid-range at the 3A Pro. And I want a 4A Pro real bad. And if they can hopefully keep the design, I like a wonky design. That's not what I'm worried about. But, I felt like they regressed a little bit with the glyph matrix because the glyphs themselves were just simple and useful to those of you who use them. I wasn't personally using them super much, but I get some people really like the idea of customizing the patterns. So I hope that they stick with something like that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever they do there. And supposedly there's also rumors of mid-range headphone, an A series headphone. So
Yep. And the rumor of the headphones was March 5th, so probably the phones the same day.
So we'll be there, Ben and I, and we'll keep you posted because, are you going? I'm assuming to MWC?
Yes, MWC.
Okay, great. So I'll see you there. All right. Okay, so this is cool. I think that I'm actually pretty hyped about. Now I want to try Essential Apps after talking to you. Damn. I don't have enough stuff to do, Ben. What the hell? Okay, I got a new phone here today, so I wanted to show you that. So the Moto Razr, we all kind of love it. I think it's pretty universally accepted that Moto makes some pretty great folding phones. And I'm very excited about the upcoming Razr Fold, by the way, after seeing it at CES. There's some really cool folding phones coming up, folks. We can't talk to you about them, but they're coming up. But this one is not a fold, it's a flip. And this is the FIFA edition. For those of you watching on Patreon, patreon.com/TNKGRL, FIFA edition of the Razr. This is last year's Razr, the base model Razr. So I want to quickly unbox it for you here. For those of you watching on Patreon, you get the video version in advance every week for $5 a month. You get it a day in advance or so. So if you want to support me, go to my Patreon, patreon.com/TNKGRL. So here's a box, standard Moto box. The only mention of FIFA is in the front here. It says Collections FIFA World Cup 2026. So let's go. Here. Ooh, all right. So the first thing you have is a little note that says, thanks for choosing our product in French as well. Merci d'avoir choisi nos produits. I think it's in 2 languages, not because I'm in Canada, because this was sent from the US. Wait, is the official language for FIFA French?
I'm not sure.
That's a good question. Ben to the rescue here.
It looks like English, French, Spanish, and German.
Okay, well, anyway, I don't know why it's in French. Anyway, so here, it's in French and English for some reason. All right, so this is a divider. And if we lift it up, I think there's cables and documentation. The next thing underneath is do not remove the screen protector. We've got our Razr here, so let's get that out. And I'm going to show you the rest of the box. Has nothing in it. Boom. All right. Here is the phone, and it says Razr. And here I'll be able to pull it out, I think. Yeah, we can do it. Ben, we can pull it out without damaging anything. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I want to keep it as a collectible. So
I do really like the way they did the colors.
Whoa, it's fading away. Okay, so the only difference here is basically this logo and, of course, this cool color scheme. The rest of the phone is just a Razr. But yeah, it's got matching colored edges, aluminum. Very nice. So I'm going to just fold it real quick so you can see what it looks like. Shut, and the hinge, color matched. Yeah, I mean, look, there's not much to this phone, really. It's a Razr. Like, you can't go wrong with it. But it's collectible because it's FIFA edition 2026. Dude, I love this thing.
That's really nice.
I'm looking forward to trying it out. Not that I need to really review the Razr, but look, I'll do some content for you guys.
Yeah. And I think I saw a rumor that they might be doing the Razr Fold in a finish like that as well.
Ooh, like a FIFA edition?
I heard a FIFA edition.
Whoa. Okay, wait, there's more. We didn't undo the divider. So as you can see, there's some documentation and the cables in here. Yeah, you can pull this out. I'm not going to pull all of it out, but you get the idea. You get cable and documentation. Very cool. Well, no charger, of course. That's been the case for Moto for a while in North America, and I think in Europe now too, because, Ben, don't they have to follow some guidelines about no chargers in Europe? I think there's some rules.
Yeah, that rings a bell. I could not.
Kind of annoying, to be honest with you.
Though.
It's not annoying if you're using a phone like this, which charges at like whatever it is, 40 watt, 35. But any phone that charges at high speed that needs a dedicated charger is nice to have the charger in the box. To be fair, though, for example, latest Oppo phones, and OnePlus, almost all of them charge at 55 watt, PD or whatever, PPS, right? Standard USB spec. So you don't get the 80 watt unless you use their own charger, but 55 watt is pretty damn great, right? You're not going to have any issues. I charge a lot of my phones with PPS chargers, standard USB spec, power delivery, and like it seems to work pretty fast even on the Oppo OnePlus Realme phones. So of course you don't get the max speed, but whatever. Anyhow, so that's a quick little unboxing for those of you watching on video. And then we got more stuff to talk about. Okay, so this is, I want to just take, you wrote this article about the Lenovo Y700 Legion gaming tablet. What's the deal with this thing? It's like 8.8 inches.
Yeah, so it's a series they've been doing for a while. This is the 5th generation. Yeah, it's an 8.8-inch tablet. It's designed for gaming. I have the 3rd gen one, which is the first one that they sold in the US. It really fills a gap in the Android tablet market because I am not an iPad person. I don't get the value out of it because I really just want this thing for watching movies on planes.
Yeah, you're not in the ecosystem anyway, right? Very much
Yeah.
for Apple. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just wanted something for watching movies on planes that wasn't, super slow like every other decently
like a Fire
small.
tablet.
Yeah, like every other decently small Android tablet. I've been very happy with the Gen 3, and the Gen 5 just looks better. The battery is like two or 3,000 milliamp hours bigger.
Is it what, 9,000 something?
Yeah, 9,000.
Yeah,
the
wow.
original that was 65. So big upgrade there. And then Snapdragon Elite Gen 5,
Wow.
165 hertz display. I do still wish they were doing OLED instead.
Oh, it's LCD.
They do.
Wow.
It's LCD. I tried the Red Magic tablet, which was the same size but OLED, and that was really nice. I wish they'd let me keep that.
So there is competition in that area, and
there's a couple of brands that do these smaller tablets. All the gaming brands basically.
Okay,
I really like it.
Do you think that they're like gearing this towards gamers?
Oh yeah, it's sold under Lenovo's Legion brand, which is their home gaming brand.
Cool.
The other one is Red Magic, which is full gaming
I'm familiar.
brand.
I've got the Air right now that I'm playing with. It's cool. It's interesting because like you're right. I think they found a niche with this, and that's kind of why I wanted to include it this week. Because look, I'm not a tablet person either, but I do feel that there is a big gap between using like a folding phone that's expensive, that folds, that you have to open, that's not rectangular when it's open. And we're going to talk about that in a second. There's some phones coming up that are folding phones that, like the supposedly like the iPhone Fold. Anyway, but there is this big gap between like the 7-inch iPad mini size that you see and also the crappy, as you said, really crappy Android tablets at that size. And then like we go up to 10, even more, like 11, 12, 14-inch tablets, which are great, like the OnePlus Pad 3 Pro, whatever it is. Great stuff, right? But not practical for a lot of people, right? Like it's kind of like, think of a Nintendo Switch size. Like you want that in your bag. You don't want like a freaking iPad Pro in your bag, right? Right? Okay. So
honestly, these are the gaming focus is great too, just because like I don't always want to play a game on my phone.
Exactly.
It's not that
and having more real estate, I'm from a folding as a folding phone user, like a book style. I get it.
Yeah, but also like I don't want to game on it. It's not comfortable to game on a 10-inch tablet. So I don't use mine for gaming that much. Like I said, I mainly have it for like movies on planes. But even then, the size is nice because like I bring a little MagSafe adapter, and I have a magnetic adhesive thing on the back of the tablet. It's wonderful.
Perfect. And with 9,000 milliamp now, you might not need the MagSafe charger thing. But speaking of what, I want to update the audience on this Realme phone, which is in its case right now. But this is the Realme P4 Power. This is a 10,001 milliamp hour battery, and I finally spent a week with it. So last time I unboxed it, I believe, for you guys, like I think a week or two ago. I'm using this very lightly. It's got my Canadian SIM in it, and I basically don't use my Canadian number very much. So I'm using it as a hotspot for my US phone and other phones. I'm using it to tap to pay with my Canadian credit card. I use it, to just respond to notifications when they pop up, listen to music with my earbuds. So screen on time is really not what I'm spending on. So just prefacing what I'm about to say by saying that, I'm getting 15% a day on this thing. I got 5.5 days out of it on the first charge. And that included setup. And the setup, took a good 5 to 7% off the top. So amazing, really amazing. I think that if you hammer at this thing, you'll get 2 days, no problem, possibly 3. It's a
That's
game
awesome.
changer. And like, and this phone is just, look at it. It's 8 point something, 9 millimeters thick, right? So it's not particularly thick. It's not particularly heavy, but you have 27-watt reverse wire charging. So you can charge everybody else's phones. You just carry a USB-C to C cable and you're good to go. It's a game changer. And I think that, we've seen a lot of phones coming out of Asia, mid-ranges in particular, with like 7,000 milliamp hour. And then we're seeing the flagships get in that realm as well now. And, this phone is just like, look, this is the new standard. I wouldn't be surprised, Ben, if every mid-range phone's coming out of China in the next year will be 10,000.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
great.
it. It's a new standard. I didn't think it was going to happen. I predicted it. I thought it would take 2 years, but here we are, like less than 6 months later, and it's starting to happen. We've got 2 other phones from Honor like that. There's more phones coming from Xiaomi, supposedly. Anyway, speaking of that, we're going to get back to talking about 16 by 10 or 16 by 9 aspect ratio on a larger portable screen. But I want to talk about the Oppo Find X9s, simply because this is, the TikTok cycle for Oppo. They do the X numbered series, which is their flagship, in the fall and the spring. It seems to always shift now with all the chips being released earlier, but they do the S series after. The same way as Xiaomi has their numbered series flagship, followed by the T series, and like 6 months later. So the S series is generally China only, and we're probably not going to get it. But the big rumor for this phone is that it's a compact phone, 6.3 inches, not really that small, but think iPhone 17 size, flagship grade, that is, going to have a dual 200 megapixel camera setup for the main and that crazy telephoto that we have on the Find X9 Pro right now, but also a 50 megapixel ultra wide. So think 13S, 13T from last year in terms of size, but think camera specs from the Find X9 Pro, sold in China, and then now we found out that it has a Dimensity 9500S, supposedly.
It's a step down
it's like
from
a
the main
clock
one.
speed bumped version. Yeah. So anyway, that's happening at some point. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because, I feel like we're also hearing rumors from Vivo and Honor and others. 200 megapixel main and telephoto might become a thing on high-end flagship Chinese phones in the next year, along with who knows what, maybe 10,000 milliamp hour batteries. At this point, they're all around hovering around 7,000, 7,500 anyway. So I think this is what I'm talking about when we were talking about Samsung earlier. Like, where are the silicon carbon batteries? What do you take on that for Apple, Samsung, and Google? Like,
I think in terms of Samsung is just being very hesitant for understandable reasons.
Yeah,
given
there's
their
still
history.
PTSD from the Note 7. Yeah, I get it.
And I think Google and I think Apple specifically is kind of just waiting to, kind of see the long term of this, because it is a new technology.
I think newish. Yeah.
I think at their scale,
that's a scale problem. Yeah.
I think that's the complication for them.
It's
for Google,
manufacturing quantities and pricing too. I think for Apple, that's really going to matter. Yeah.
Yeah, at scale. And I think for Google, I think I don't think they feel the pressure to make that change yet.
I don't think they can. I don't think they have the volume, and I don't think they have the means. Like, they're pressured to keep the prices reasonable, and because they don't have the economies of scale of the other two, adding that tech would really bring up the price.
Yeah, the scale might be an issue for Google too.
In a different way than the scale for Apple. Like, it's the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like Samsung...
But on the other hand, nothing did a silicon carbon battery, so...
Yeah, but they have nothing to
and
lose.
Nothing is... But they're smaller.
Yeah.
So the scale
But they only did it on a one phone, and they also only did it...
Well, a one phone that sold nothing. So.
That's what I'm saying. So the quantities are... You're right, but I think that it might have been justifiable for them to do it because of low volume. They're able to secure some.
Maybe.
And also, remember, their battery is the maximum on a single cell that is allowed in Europe. So like 5160 milliamp hour or whatever, because all the other ones that I'm talking about here, like this phone in my pocket, they're dual cell, right? Like there's 2 cells. That's how you reach the 10,000. And in fact, unless they go triple cell, I don't think they're going to be able to exceed, 10,320, because 5160, I believe, is the limit for EU and US for single cell. So are they going to jump past that? Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I think it'll be a while before we get there anyway.
Now, I think so. Also, there's diminishing returns, right? At that point,
Yeah.
like I'm telling you, this phone right now at 80 watt still takes an hour to charge, right? So you're back to having to charge for a longer time to top off that battery. So maybe balance that out somehow, right? 10,000 seems to be the sweet spot, at least for mid-range phones. I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see. But look, Oppo is going to come out with another flagship. We're probably not going to get it, but it's going to give us a good feeling for the temperature of where the next round of Chinese flagships are going. So keep an eye on that. And speaking of that Lenovo Legion Y700 tablet, that's, gaming aspect ratio compatible and a smaller-ish 8.8-inch display. Huawei did the Pura X, which is a flip-style folding phone, but when you unfold it, has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. So it's widescreen basically. So it's for content consumption. They're now working on a second generation of that, obviously. But the other news that's just kind of crazy to me is, and this is not an 8.8-inch display, at least the one I'm about to mention. They're working on a bar phone that has that aspect ratio. We're going back to, remember back in the day before the LG, what was it, G6? It was the G6 that was the first phone that had 19 by, like, it went
18,
wide.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first phone to really go wide and break away from the 16 by 9, 16 by 10. And so we're going back to it. I think, I guess Huawei's seeing a market for that. Now, it's not going to be 8.8 inches, but I think even if it's 7 inches at that size, it could be a viable somewhat, I mean, if it's fast enough chip-wise to compete with these kind of gaming tablets, and then we could potentially see the other from the other direction. We have the iPhone Fold, the rumors of the Galaxy Z Fold 8 wide, the rumors of Honor doing a wide phone, maybe Oppo doing a wide phone, folding phones, book style. But these are not flip phones because the Pura doesn't have a full implementation of Android in the front. It's just a cover display. So it's really interesting to see that even 7 years in, right, we're still experimenting with folding form factors and re-experimenting with aspect ratios. I kind of dig it.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it feels kind of like a throwback to the first few generations with the first Oppo Find N, Find N2, the Pixel Folds.
100%.
Which I really liked that. The only reason it didn't work was apps just weren't ready for it.
Exactly.
I'm ready for that. I've been wanting to do a revisit of those phones too, because
I can't wait to get my hands on an iPhone Fold, and of course all the Android other ones that are going to come along, because I've been using since the OnePlus Open. I've been using every iteration of Oppo OnePlus's book style. So I've got the Find N5. Hopefully, I'll get the Find N6, and I love them. And it's really gotten me into folding phones. And it's not that I didn't love the Pixel Fold original or the original Oppo N series. So the N and N2 were passport form factor, basically. But I like that form factor. So I'm happy to go back to it. It's just that it wasn't until the OnePlus Open that I felt like I really had the tool that made me more productive in my hand. And then, that's the Find N3. And so now I've got the N5, and the N5 has been my secondary phone all year. Last year, I did so much productivity work on that phone, on airplanes in particular, writing stories and stuff. Amazing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do on a wider screen, simply because putting two docks side by side, I think, is one of the use cases for me,
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So Pura X2, look, keep your ears peeled out for that. It'll be, of course, China only, but we want to monitor that situation because innovation, interesting form factors. I'm in. All right, the last couple of things we have here are Sony WF-1000XM6, their high-end earbuds. I believe reviews might be actually out this morning. I'm going to look real quick.
The embargo was early this morning.
So
they're out.
I don't have them, but I will try to get a pair. Sony's a little stingy on review units, but I'll try to get a pair. Look, the specs, at least that I looked at last night before the embargo lifted, and I haven't read the reviews yet, but it looks like they've really done a lot of tweaks to improve them overall. The biggest issue with me with the high-end earbuds from Sony is I wear the headphones most of the time when I travel. I really love the sound. I really love the ANC, the battery life. I think they're the most well-rounded, high-end ANC headphone you can buy. I think some people like Bose better for noise canceling, and I respect that, although I think Sony's caught up. I think some people like the Apple ones better for, the Max, the AirPods Max, because of the integration with the ecosystem. I get all that. But for me, I need balance. I need really good sound, really good ANC, really good battery life all together. And also, I need headphones that can take a beating. And I don't want headphones like I travel so much, I fly so much. I literally throw these headphones on my seat before I sit down. And sometimes I sit on them and it's just like, it needs to resist my abuse. So I've been pretty happy with Sony's for that. But the earbuds, every time I tried their high-end earbuds in the past, I got all those things. But the one thing I didn't get that I always get with the headphones is comfort. Their earbuds were always too bulky, too big, too heavy, too uncomfortable to wear long times. And I think it's because they couldn't pack all that goodness in a smaller form factor like the Chinese and Apple are doing with their AirPods. And I think that we've seen last generation, the 5s shrunk down quite a bit and were much more comfortable. But the ones that I really like from Sony are the LinkBuds S, which is their non-open LinkBuds, the one that go in your ear canal. Those are the right size, the right comfort, the right fit. They kind of match what Nothing and OnePlus are doing. But they never did that on their high-end ones. So I'm hoping that these are finally the right size for me.
Looking at the announcement, they made it a little bit smaller. It says they're 11% slimmer, whatever that's supposed to mean. So I guess they are a little bit smaller. They also have 32-bit audio processing now.
Oh wow,
sounds good.
That sounds like a good idea. All right, the last thing we have is kind of wonky, but I'm into it. I know we don't have time for more phones in our lives, but I'm always in on more phones. That's why I love roaming the halls of MWC the last day to see what kind of wonky, crazy brands I can find. Remember the Energizer phone that was like an inch thick back in the day? Dream, the company, is it Dream or Dreamy? I don't know.
Dreamy.
Dreamy. I have a Dreamy stick vacuum that's from pre-COVID. So I changed the battery once. That's it. And I found like a generic on Amazon replacement battery, and the thing's been ticking. And the battery that I've replacement is twice the capacity of the previous one. That vacuum is magic now because it lasts even longer on a charge. I love my Dreamy little stick vacuum, but it's not smart. It doesn't do anything special. Now they're making smartphones. I mean, just to be in between that, they did a lot of robot vacuums that are very cool. Do you think that's going to come to Europe at all? Because they're pretty big in Europe. No?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. To me,
it's China only. India, maybe?
I think it felt inevitable that robot vacuum companies were going to start making phones of some kind.
They make cars too. At CS, we saw a robot vacuum.
They have so much money from these things. Like, it's crazy how much money these companies make. So this kind of felt inevitable to me, but it also sounds like this phone is just kind of like a reskinned Nubia phone or something.
Yeah, it does look like it's a reskinned Nubia for sure. I think it's a Z80 Ultra or whatever. The one of that gold looking one looks really gaudy and terrible. I hope that doesn't I hope that doesn't exist. I hope that's the case, because wow. Please. Like, my Dreamy vacuum is a very utilitarian, simple device. You can clearly see its purpose. It's rugged, it's well made, it works. It's been working for years. I just changed the battery, as I said. And I've seen their vacuum cleaner, their robot vacuum. They look reasonable. They do their job. I'm sure they're good. I have a friend who has one and loves it. So I'm a little taken aback by that super gold, ultra decorated phone thing that they showed there on their thing. So hopefully the other one looks like more like what I expect a smartphone from a newcomer to be like. But as you said, it looks like maybe ZTE is behind that. I wonder if we dig around if ZTE is actually behind Dreamy to start with. ZTE is a huge company.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So, I mean, it's like Red Magic and Nubia, basically.
Yeah.
Those two brands are essentially ZTE, right? Like, they're under the same umbrella. I think they're independent, but majority shareholder is ZTE or something like that. I don't know. It's complicated. Have you used any of the Nubia phones?
I have not. The only ZTE thing I've used in the past few years is that Red Magic tablet.
Okay. So you haven't even used the Red Magic phones yet, have you?
I haven't had a good excuse to use any of them. The tablet was just like very much my beat.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, did you like the tablet?
I really liked the tablet. I was
Yeah.
surprised at how decent the software was. Like I was expecting it to be bad, but it was
It's gotten better,
clean.
but Red Magic still has
Yeah.
the problem is you never get updates on these phones.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
forget it,
I
right?
know. Yeah. It
But
was, I never expected it to get
the
updates.
hardware is great. The software has gotten better. And the value prop, at least for the phones, is absolutely there. I mean, think
Yeah.
about this, right? Like $749 for a Snapdragon 8 Elite smartphone. Yeah, it's a gaming phone. Yeah, it's a bit of a chunker. It's about the same size and weight as an iPhone 17 Pro Max or an S25 Ultra, which is a big phone. But you're getting a flagship chip for $749. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Like, yeah, the cameras are not going to beat a Pixel, but like they're okay, you know. And the battery 7,500 milliamp hour. Oh, and by the way, here's a cool thing about people don't know about the Red Magic phones. At least the latest couple of iterations of them, they all charge at 80-watt PPS. You don't need a custom charger to get the 80-watt. So you just grab like a laptop charger that has 100-watt, plug that into your Red Magic, you know, set the settings to max charge speed, and the thing just sucks up the juice like you wouldn't believe. It's really cool.
That's really cool.
You don't need a dedicated charger. And it comes with one in the box. So, you know. Anyway, so I don't know, dreamy. I want a dreamy phone now. Kind of just to try it out. Oh man. I can't wait for Roborock to make a phone, to be honest with you. That, like, you know, maybe, okay, crazy idea. You know how Roborock does a phone with a robot arm, right? That picks up the socks. You know how Honor is going to reveal the robot phone at MWC? We're all dying to see that.
Maybe. I'm
assuming, right? Like,
that phone does not exist to me until they let me touch it.
Yeah, it's true. So let's find out if they let us touch it. But the point is, you know, it exists. Now imagine the marriage of those two things, the Roborock vacuum and the robot phone from Honor. But Roborock announces a phone and it has an arm on it that does something that I'm into that. I don't know why. Just because it's cool. Anyway, this is out of control. We should end this podcast. Ben, tell people where they can find you on the internet, all your social and all that.
I'm on most social platforms at Nexus Ben, but honestly, the easiest place to find me is just the homepage of 9to5 Google.
That's true. You'll see a lot of the links in the show notes this week are from Ben. So check out his writing, check out 9to5 Google. Great site. The whole 9to5, you know, there's the EV site, there's the Apple, obviously, you know, go check them out. They're great people in every pub. I really enjoy your work, Ben. You keep me informed on a daily basis, and I appreciate you for it. So, you know, follow Ben on social, 9to5 Google, and you know where to find me on the internet. I'm at Tankerl, TNKGRL, like the comic book characters, drop the vowels. That's my handle pretty much everywhere. My TikTok handle is slightly different. I got my year of birth at the end, so it's Tankerl69, so TNKGRL69. I know. I didn't think of that. It was kind of weird. But anyway, the point is, everywhere it's the same handle. Add me on social. I'm primarily on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram, but I'm everywhere else. And TikTok has 69 at the end. You know where to find the podcast? It's at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on all the major platforms. So please subscribe if it's your first time here. If your second time here, your nth time here, and you haven't subscribed yet. If your app lets you rate or review the show, your podcast app, please consider doing that. It helps with discovery. So there's a YouTube channel, youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast, with some videos there, unboxings, hands-ons, that kind of stuff. Some interviews every now and then. So you know how YouTube works. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the bell, comment, all that good stuff. And finally, I mentioned it earlier, there is the Patreon. If you want to support me financially, the Patreon exists. $5 a month buys you a podcast every week, a day in advance. That's the spiel. And then you can see things like this FIFA Moto Razr that I just held up today being shown, and you see our faces and our reactions. Sometimes there's bloopers like dogs barking or FedEx showing up in the middle of things, and we get distracted with new devices. Anyway, consider the Patreon, patreon.com/TNKGRL. And I want to quickly thank our sponsor, Mint Mobile. You know I review a lot of phones, so I'm constantly juggling multiple devices. While that's fun, it also means I'm spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. Thankfully, there's Mint Mobile, and that's who I'm teaming up with for today's podcast. If you want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. You've probably seen the Mint Mobile ads featuring Ryan Reynolds, but let me quickly tell you how fantastic their service is, especially for tech-savvy early adopters like us. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current devices and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM card free of charge. The whole process only takes 15 minutes, and if you get stuck, Mint has a great customer service team to get you through it. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning-fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link, mintmobile.com/mobiletech, to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And Ben, thanks so much for being my guest. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, we'll have Ben on the show again in the future, and we'll have a podcast next week, of course, so stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.
This has been the Mobile Tech Podcast with Tank Girl, proudly presented by worldpodcasts.com. You can visit us online at mobiletechpodcast.com.